'Tis the season again where we remind ourselves that you never know when life is gonna kick you in the crotch, give you a wedgie, and spit on your face. To prepare for our defeat, let's learn together and test out some more of the struggle meals you guys been sending me over the past few months, cause tide might be high, but we're holding on. Okay, our first anonymous submission calls it the college experience, so I assume it's pretty horny, insecure, and dehydrated. But it seemed like a good start because the first step involves making ramen. I'm not gonna use Shin ramen though, I'm gonna upgrade it to Indomie. As I told you guys in the last video, I've never been to Indonesia, but my mentality grew up in the streets of Jakarta. We'll prepare some large tortilla, and why is this dry like the back of my hand? I think I forgot to seal it up after using it last time, so it's no longer moist critical. Even penguins in the Arctic will have zero tolerance towards it. It's pretty much a cooking white flag waved by my friend Charlie. Another component of this dish is chicken patty. I don't know what chicken patties are. I'm gonna replace it with a more realistic college food chicken nuggets. While it's air frying, we're gonna cut up some string cheese. I don't understand why would a dairy company name itself after a vaccine. We're not really warming this up, so I guess maybe shredding it would be better. Making the Indomie as usual. I feel like we've been making a lot of these lately. We put it on top of the cheese and the nuggets fresh out of the air fryer. Let me know in the comments if I'm qualified to work at Chipotle. We're just gonna put a third piece on top, roll it up, and just sear it in the pan like that. I'm pretty surprised that it held its shape. It looks like the inside of a caterpillar. So let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. I mean, obviously it's fire, but I like to know where you went to college that you call this a struggle meal. If I had access to these luxurious items back in college, I wouldn't have finished with such a low GPA. For that, I have to give it a 7 out of 10. Sarah from the sweet home of Alabama told us that her recipe is just mine, but 10 times better. And it's gonna be like a fried potato dish. With a boiled potato, as usual, gonna peel the skin back to have fun. Adding 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, some mozzarella, and Tuscan garlic. I don't have that, so I'm adding some good old American garlic. Salt, pepper, and Old Bay seasoning. Mash it up with a Ligma fork. Taking the mixture, we'll be rolling. Got me stargazing. Coat everything into panko, and we're ready to fry it up. Probably should have shallow fried. I feel like I'm wasting a lot of oil over here. We fried at 350 for 2 to 3 minutes on each side. I know exactly which recipe Sarah is referring to here. It's the potato pillow thing from Miss Sure and Miss Hutt. Whether or not it's better than that, we're gonna have to give it a taste to find out. Alright. You win, Sarah. This is a little bit better than the potato pillow thing, because without the panko in the beginning of the frying process, everything sticks to each other and the bottom of the pan. The breading not only prevents that, but also adds that additional layer of super crisp, like the image quality of my new camera. Yes, sir. Hello, Daddy Canoe. Daddy Canoe.
Never in my life have I needed something so much and never known until I received it.
Well, Zachary from Minnesota wants to share a soup recipe. Whenever I see a soup recipe in a struggle meal category, I just know I'm about to throw a bunch of stuff in the pot and cover it with water. Starting in a large pot and goes some butter. Zachary wants me to stroke my sausage until it comes to a brown color. Then some diced onions, saute everything together, and we'll add a can of tomato soup. Well, you guys better call me Andy Warhol, because I too uses this soup for money and call it creativity. Using the can as a measurement, I'm gonna pour in 3.5 times of water. After grabbing them from my bedroom, I'm gonna put in 1 large carrot and 1 large zucchini. Some parsley, basil, would just bring it to a simmer for 2 hours. That seems a little unnecessarily long. 15 minutes before we're supposed to add tortellinis. I have these lobster ravioli over here from the day I went insane at Costco. The expiration date is a month ago, so wish me luck. Alright, the soup is done a while ago, so we're just cooking the raviolis. Finally, topping it with some cheese. Is it me, or is this looking too aesthetic to be in a struggle meal video? The way I feel about this dish is how we took nice, fresh ingredients and presented them in the most struggle way possible. All of these ingredients, sausage, carrot, zucchini, I'll put in my body regularly in a non-struggle way. But here I just feel like we're making ourselves struggle on purpose. I want to introduce you guys to the radioactive chicken and the Ligma gang, 2 levels of membership as a way to support this channel and me. You can hatch from an egg to a true radioactive chicken, members only vlogs, commentary, and prioritizing your recipe submissions. But overall, I just think it's a great place for us to engage with each other more. For example, I'll be asking for input for the next merch line. Our regular content won't be affected, no need to worry. I genuinely appreciate everybody's support. So Cece from LA is introducing us to her eggplant and ground pork recipe. Again, doesn't sound that struggle, but whatever. She made these measurements up because she doesn't measure, so I ain't gonna measure either. In terms of the Japanese and Chinese eggplant, there's none in my grocery store, so I'm gonna have to settle with goofy shoe size eggplant. I guess we're just having a showdown of ingredients from my bedroom. Judging from the ingredients list, I suspect that this is gonna be a low budget eggplant and garlic sauce. This is probably my favorite vegetable dish. Like a good start to any story, we're gonna oil up our eggplant just to give it some color, and there's also a lot of moisture in there we're gonna fry off. High heat the whole time. And in terms of the meat, I don't really eat pork that much, so I wouldn't know what to do with a pack of ground pork. So like any situations in which I'm uncertain, I'm just gonna keep stroking the sausage and hope for the best. We'll stir that in together and pour in the remaining liquid ingredients, which is some wine, soy sauce, dark soy sauce, and sugar. You already know what's up. We'll put on a lid and simmer till the eggplants are mushy. And as an ending remark, she said, "Oh, don't worry on the appearance. It should look like a pot of hot shit." Okay, Cece, no need to get graphic here. It totally does not, by the way, and it smells kinda good, so let's give it a taste and rate 1 through 10. I never expected eggplant and sausage to go hand in hand, surprisingly, but it's a great foundation to take on additional flavors. It might be a little bit too salty with the spicy Italian and soy sauces. Overall, the steps are pretty simple. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. You guys are getting a little fancy on me. To keep in theme of the video, the next recipe is going to involve straight up flour and beans. Lauren is American Puerto Rican, so basically American twice. With 2 part flour, 1 part water, we're going to form it into little dough logs and immediately drop it into boiling water. We're going to boil it for 20 minutes. In a separate pot, we're going to start sauteing some onion in butter, as well as some cilantro, Old Bay, and beans. We'll add back in the dough from earlier. You know, Lauren said if it looks disturbing, I'm doing it right. I'm just glad this dough is not brown. Once we saute everything together, it's thicken up a little bit. Oh boy, let's give it a taste and rate 1 through 10. I totally get where this dish is trying to go, but the dough is not cooked at all. Probably my fault though. This dish definitely is a true struggle meal because you're just trying to get flour into your system using minimal ingredients. Sauteed garlic onion definitely carrying, but the flour log is making me depressed, so 4 out of 10. Back at it again with the garlic onion sauteed in butter, the secret foundation to flavor and aroma of this episode. So Riv from Flint, Michigan specified that we have to use the Randall's Great Northern beans in the liquid. At first I didn't know what it was, so I looked it up. Sometimes you shouldn't really research into your food. I'm gonna just use these white beans from Goya. The transparent, slimy liquid is kind of putting me off a little bit. Bring everything to a simmer. We'll drop in our cocktail weenies. Only in this situation, the bigger the better. Put on a lid and simmer for 10 minutes. Now, this is what I'm talking about, looking like a proper struggle meal. Straight up hot dog and stewed bean together, looking so awkward that it's kind of photogenic. I'm gonna first taste the bean. Subsequently, I'm gonna gobble the glizzy. The flavors are oddly comforting. The soup got a little creamy and the hot dogs are really soft. So overall, very nice on the throat. Giving it an 8.3 out of 10. You know, the moment I saw that Gino's from SoCal, I suspect there's something fake Japanese coming. What I like about the dish is that we're cooking an egg, but we don't need the stove. We're gonna mix egg with soy sauce and microwave for a minute. Open a water-based can of tuna. You can slurp the tuna juice if you want. Unfortunately, I ran out of I Give a Second Chance to Kewpie mayo, so I'm using the regular one. This is what the egg mixture looks like after being in the microwave. It actually looks like we fried it on a pan. And this is what Gino calls the poor man's bibimbap. I have a feeling the bibimbap was originally like more of a lower end dish. But I guess one of the themes on this channel is how low we can go in a cuisine. You know, something doesn't feel right here. Much better. It's ready to be tasted. While I love canned tuna, I eat it on a regular basis, so I might be a little biased, but the egg is such a nice addition to the dish. It makes it taste way fancier than it actually is. For that, I'm gonna have to give it an 8.8. Next stop, Maceo from the US. It's a blueberry dessert recipe. All we need is frozen blueberries, milk, and French vanilla coffee creamer. I guess we just pour everything into the blueberries, and like the end result is gonna be ice cream like texture due to the milk and creamer freezing. Wait, so the milk and the creamer will just freeze on its own? Are we on drugs, bro? I'm a master of thermodynamics. I don't think that's how it works. Bro, it happened in front of my naked eye. This is some witchcraft voodoo magic going on here. I can't believe it actually turned into ice cream. Oh man, it tastes really good too. This is so mind-blowing, such a good summer hack. If you're home and have no ice cream in the freezer, you can just take your mom's frozen fruit and the milk that your dad never came back with and make an ice cream as a sign of your independence. You guys are actually so smart. I always assume that most of you watching this channel are stupid because I'm super stupid, but I guess some of you are actual geniuses, so 9.3 out of 10. We're finally moving away from the USA and going all the way to Canada. Sophia calls it the sad man's kasha, food for your horse. Again, confirming my previously articulated conspiracy theory that the ruling class convinced us to eat horse food. But anyways, we're gonna mix steel cut oats with bully beef. I don't know what bully beef is. I've had beef and been bullied a lot, but I have butter though. Cooking the oatmeal as usual, I'm using shredded spam instead of bully beef. Don't ask me why I have it, I'll explain later. Not so much beef, but they're bullied already. And a couple tablespoons of butter. I don't think I'm gonna salt it because I feel like the spam is already carrying on the sodium front. Once it's all cooked, thick like this, we'll give it a taste. It's surprisingly nice. Tastes like a savory porridge or congee, I guess. 8.5. The next recipe, as you would have already guessed, is a sweet one. They call it the Canadian glizzy. Being the glizzy gobbling monster that I am, I have to check this recipe out. Plus, I'm extremely excited by these ingredients. These are pretty much 3 of my favorite sauces on the market right now. Actually, for the topping, we need to do peanut butter and jam, Nutella, honey are optional, and we can do all 3 if I'm evil. I don't think I'm evil, but I'm pretty insane. So we'll put a banana in a hot dog bun, squeeze up our peanut butter. To pair that, we're gonna go with a layer of jam, Nutella to top everything off. You like how I put it into Ziploc bags to make it like aesthetic like that? Last but not least, the drizzle of honey. People make fun of Americans for loving sugar. Honestly, I think the whole world just are addicted. Help getting a little too thick, so I'm gonna distribute it a little bit. Is Fox TV airing this episode? Because I feel like I'm becoming Homer Simpson. Let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. You know, I've been trying to quit sugar lately, and that bite just took my brain for a ride. I'm like Lindsay Lohan celebrating coming out of rehab by popping a Zan. It's such a horrible dish, but anything with PBJ, Nutella, honey, bread, banana is a 9 out of 10. First in the UK category is from L, and I don't know where this is. Basically rice and peanut butter sauce. A 1-pot recipe where like boiling some sauce and cooking chicken in it. In a pan we'll spread 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, some water, some Maggi seasoning powder. I don't have that, but I heard it just sweetened up MSG. So I'm gonna replace it with chicken bouillon, paprika, and maple syrup. While the sauce is coming to a boil, we'll score the chicken to make it easier to cook and season it with salt and Old Bay. Lay directly into the sauce and cook for 6 minutes on each side. Ideally, the chicken is gonna be done at the same time as the sauce. I'm gonna baste it a little bit because I just feel the urge to baste meat when it's in a saucy pan. Do you guys feel that? To serve it on top of a bed of rice, we'll just put the chicken and sauce, pour it all over. Topping it with crispy shallot, and this is actually smelling very nice.
What's poppin'? Brand new whip, just hopped in. I got options. I can pass that like Stockton.
It tastes straight up like a restaurant quality Thai satay chicken and rice. I can't believe the sauce is just peanut butter, water, and some chicken bouillon. Very impressive. 9 out of 10. From County Durham, UK, Riley is introducing us to a campfire hash brown. Since when did grating spam become our weekly routine? So that's some cheese. Spam will also grate a potato. Wash off the starch, squeeze out the water. The choice of binder here is not an egg, not cornstarch, but hummus. I'm assuming that you were using it as a dip and you forgot eggs or starch, so you just threw that in there. Whenever there's potatoes, we gotta use duck fat, a lot of it. Alright, a couple minutes on each side. We're gonna attempt to do the impossible here. No worries, we'll just flip it manually and sear it on the other side for 3 minutes or so. And flipping it onto a plate is gonna be much easier. Look. Do you guys think it looks like a hash brown? Or just the surface of a planet? It feels a lot softer, probably because of the Spam. I didn't expect the potato to be still crunchy. The variety of texture in here is making it very interesting. Overall, I feel like the process is pretty easy. Just the potato, half a can of Spam, and some cheese. I'll give it a 9 out of 10, provided you drown it in hot sauce. The next dish is German/Scandinavian, called the white fish. Basically a bunch of stuff thrown together. I love that type of recipe. And I guess what it's implying here, we have to use frozen Alaska pollock. Like, is it raw or like do you boil it or something? But it seems like the recipe is asking to defrost and just straight up put it into the salad, which I'm definitely not gonna do. With my luck, I'm afraid that if I eat one piece of raw food, it's gonna be the contaminated piece. To about half a cup of heavy cream, we're gonna add a quarter cup of heavy cream and a can of tuna. That would be our raw white fish of the dish. Diced pickles, also half an apple, also diced up. You know what I just realized? Every German dish we've made on this channel had pickles in it. Finally, dill seasoned with salt and pepper. I only did pepper here. Mix everything together, and that's pretty much it. This is the original picture. I said it's looking pretty damn close. You can't even tell there's no raw fish in it. I guess this is like a Scandinavian tartare or a ceviche. I really hope this is not trying to imitate that fermented shark #1 smelling thing. So let's give it a taste. It's alright. It's an average tuna salad. I love the sweetness from the apple, so 5 out of 10. Jesper from Gothenburg, Sweden. I think the only other Swedish dish we've made so far on this channel is from that really small gamer. Do you guys remember that? Jesper invented this dish in culinary school back in the 80s. You're kind of old. Well, all his friends were suspicious until they tasted it, and apparently it's really cheap. So starting off with a hot pan, actually a cold pan, because we need to render out the fat from the pancetta. Pre-diced pancetta feels nice. When you start hearing crackling like this and the 80% of the fat is out, we'll put in our aromatics. Onion, garlic, saute a little bit, and a bunch of shredded cabbage. This is the main character here. We're going to put more than you expect because it's going to wilt a lot. To season, we're using molasses. There's molasses and maple syrup, I checked, and a bunch of hot sauce. Sweet and spicy, you know, mix that all together, taking on some color. Finally, we'll put in cooked pasta, preferably macaroni, but I don't have rigatoni right now. I guess this could be either a warm pasta salad or a Swedish stir-fry lo mein. But regardless, the cooking process is very low maintenance. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this is actually so fire. Sweet, savory, spicy, acidic. It's got every flavor going on there. Everything's well coated in that pancetta fat, and the cabbage just give it that crunchiness that it needs. The pasta is such a good call, great foundation for it. I'm gonna try it again with macaroni in the future. This is the most surprising so far. You guys have to try this, a 9 out of 10. This is Angelus from Spain. I guess the American equivalent of being named an angel in Spanish would be like precious or something. Spanish omelette. Isn't that a Spanish tortilla? A Spanish tortilla in the easiest way, with 3 eggs and a bag of crisps. I thought it was a struggle meal, but you kind of lost me there at 3 eggs, so I'm gonna let my anger out on the original ways. I feel like the bag of chips I got is too big, so I went with 5 eggs.
This monotone nephew got money.
After mixing it together, we'll let it soak up for at least 10 minutes, and then just fry it up on the stove how you would a normal omelet. To be fair, I never really liked Spanish tortilla. I prefer just straight up omelet or a hash brown. But this one's significantly easier to do, and you don't need to season it at all because the Lay's chips are super salty. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, but I'm really biased. As usual, being my consistent top 4 geographies in my analytics, we have to make an Indian dish. This is an Indian comfort food, and it helps when you have the ingredients are basically rice, yogurt, oil, and a bunch of spices. Components wise, there's 2. We're gonna infuse the oil with curry leaves. I'm replacing with bay because as my subscriber, you are my bay.
Picture perfect, you don't need no filter.
Cardamom, cumin, cashmere, and fenugreek. We're gonna put this on the stove and let it come up to almost smoking. The other component is basically just rice mixed into yogurt with a little bit of salt. When the oil is almost ready, we'll make a little hole in the center and pour it directly over. So you're telling me this is supposed to cure diarrhea. More like an imitation of it, but it smells incredible, so let's give it a taste. It tastes like a very aromatic fried rice, and the acidity from the yogurt cuts through the fat. Overall, pretty balanced surprisingly. I'm gonna give it an 8.4 out of 10. The next one is a really short message. So Jamal is from Africa and he eats fried chicken and just boil it and bake it. You know, Jamal, you could have phrased this a lot better, like giving some measurement or like a background story of the dish or something. But you know, the best dishes are always the simplest, so let's give it a try. So we'll salt the water, boil the chicken, egg, flour batter, no measurements at all. We'll coat the boiled chicken into the batter, put it on a baking sheet, and bake at 400 for 20 minutes. Carrie from South Africa is introducing us to baked beans curry. That's exactly what it sounds like. Is it a South African dish? Because it sounds very British. First, of course, sauteing some onion, curry powder, garam masala, cashmere, and turmeric. We'll heat that up to activate the aroma and add in some chopped fresh tomatoes. The key now is to stew it a little bit until it breaks it down and it becomes soft and mushy like this, and a whole can of baked beans. I think every can of baked beans, you only get one piece of bacon. That's my personal experience over the years at least. Let me know in the comments if you ever opened a can of baked beans and found 2 pieces of bacon. After stewing for 10 minutes, it became an actual comforting curry dish. I don't think anybody's surprised here. Every element in this is great, perfect struggle meal. 9 out of 10. Salma from Egypt calls it the grape sandwich with feta cheese. Yeah, that's it. But to take it up a level, however, I'm gonna replace the grapes with grape jelly. People have cheese and fruit together all the time, so let's give it a taste. I'm gonna assume that Egypt has better education than the US, because if this is what they're serving in their middle school, it's so much better than a PB&J. The savory sweet combination is delicious. I'm gonna start incorporating this into my life. Saba from Hungary's mom always make in the morning because it's easy and fast. At first I was very confused to where I can find a cup of salmonella, but I found out just cornmeal. We're gonna cook the cornmeal with my roommate's milk. This stuff cooks really fast. Also, I'm starting to feel like this is part of the whole ruling class force-feeding horse food conspiracy theory I talked about earlier. After it's thick and a little bit creamy, we'll put that on a plate and top it off with some nice garnishing spices.
I thought that I've been hurt before.
Cinnamon, cocoa powder, mix that up a little bit. Provided I already love cornmeal, the cocoa powder and cinnamon does add a lot of flavor without the sweetness. But it has this weird smoky flavor for some reason, so 7 out of 10. The next one is a Russian drink called the fruit compote. I think it's the easiest one today. We just need to soak a bunch of dry fruit and eat it. I'm gonna go with a bunch of raisin and 1 date, which seems to be impossible for me to get in New York. We'll put on high heat, bring it to a boil, turn off the heat, and soak for an hour. Strain the juice from the fruits and serve it separately. You eat the fruit and drink the juice. The inventor of raisins is climbing out of his grave right now to beat my ass. I feel like we could have achieved the same purpose by having a glass of water while eating dry fruits. As soon as I took a sip of the juice, I realized what's missing: the Russian essence. Here are some miscellaneous recipes with no statement of origin, like Nate is too lazy to make sticky rice, so to save time he just takes condensed milk and frozen fruit. And I have to eat it quickly without letting my roommate figure out what I'm doing. Why not? What else am I supposed to do with it? So warm rice, condensed milk, frozen fruit. Maybe a little more condensed milk. Starting to remind me of that ice cream I had earlier. It was such a positive experience, so I have high hopes for this one. I just wish I had mango instead of blueberries, but it actually tastes like sticky rice. But the key here is to put almost as much condensed milk as rice. 8 out of 10. Last but not least, we are ending the struggle meal recipe video with a healthy, cheap cheesecake recipe. It's pretty anabolic like our last video. Into a food processor, we're gonna put in half a pound of cottage cheese, 2 eggs, and 2 scoops of protein powder, the cocoa pebble ones from last week. They taste so fire. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. My pull is not that strong, neither is my pull-ups. A teaspoon of flour and some cinnamon. We're gonna blend everything up. Almost glossy after blending. The batter have raw eggs, but it tastes great. Don't ask me how I found out. We're gonna bake it at 400 for 50 minutes. Seems a little long. You know what it feels like? It feels like top tier leather. The stuff that my sister overspent my parents' money on. But as usual, we're gonna attack it from the center, give it a taste, and rate it 1 through 10. Honestly, this tastes better than 80% of the anabolic recipe from the other video. It tastes like a slightly compromised chocolate cheesecake. I think blended cottage cheese just tastes better than non-fat cream cheese, and it has better macros too. So I'm actually gonna save this because this is definitely an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you to everyone who shared their recipe. The next submission is going to be in the description. As usual, those of you who have the Lick My Game membership already know how to send them to me directly. I'm always excited to read, test out, and share your struggle meal recipes. I think it holds unique value to all of us. It's the tough times that define who we are. I personally see your struggle meals as the memories of perseverance and the acknowledgement of your inner strength. I can see it through your words, and I think the community can see it through the screen. Whether or not we're still struggling at the moment, as I said it many times on this channel, remember, the most important part of a struggle meal is to eat it with a heart full of hope. Alright, thank you.